G'day guys, and welcome again to Comics to Movies and More. This is our 24th episode. It is jam-packed with announcements, with totally crazy, awesome stuff tonight. So we're hoping that we can get as many people on watching so that you can share this around when we tell you guys all the news. But we also have my co-host Stephen on tonight, as well as our first returning guest, which is awesome. Kieran Jack is back talking about Halftone Productions, something else he's got in the works, as well as giving us the first opportunity to announce something that he is going to do next year. So stick with us. It's going to be a super exciting episode. I'm going to tell you that, but I'm going to bring on our guests and we'll get into the chat and say g'day to everyone. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the notify button so when we go live, it's greatly appreciated. And how are we all tonight, guys? How are we going?
G'day, how we going?
Hey, Kieran. Hey, Sean. Lockdown's over for you guys, I've heard. So that must be exciting. You can actually go beyond 25Ks or something now, is it?
Yeah.
It's huge. Yay.
That's not the announcements we're doing tonight, but that's one thing we're super excited about.
And for people not in Australia, they're actually going to open up all the states before Christmas except for WA. But we really don't care about WA, so
Who wants to go there anyway?
But every state besides WA has committed to open before Christmas. So if you're crossing borders now, you don't have to get quarantined for 2 weeks. So I'm looking forward to it.
And that's you, Kieran, isn't it? Crossing borders, living on the border of Victoria and New South Wales. It's been an absolute hell to deal with for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, living on the border of Albury-Wodonga, it's a 40-minute commute to work, so it's kind of like living back in Melbourne again, getting to work. But yeah, it'll be nice not have to get that to leave for work an hour beforehand, or even to go over to the border to go shopping.
Well, but it's good. Like it sounds really weird that's a big deal right now. It's like, yeah, we can actually go beyond 25 kilometers. Yay!
Yeah.
How fantastic!
Well, my parents finally went home, so they've been staying with us since June. So my parents finally went home, so they were super excited. They were like, "Oh, sweet, we're out of here, peace." I didn't even hear from them for a couple of days. I think they were just like happy to have their own space back and everything. So it's been really good. So
yeah.
But tonight we're going to do something different. Before we jump into the Dark Knight, which is a movie we're going to talk about tonight, because I do know that it's one of Kieran's ultimate favorite love movies, and he's like, do not let anyone else pick this movie before I come back on and do this. We're going to talk about that. But I do want to just say tonight we were up for a Best Comic Award at a film festival. So at the Australian Film Festival up in Brisbane. Unfortunately, I couldn't go because, as we said, we're in Melbourne and they're still having to quarantine and everything. Well, the lucky thing was I was actually able to watch this live, and I can announce here first, I haven't told anyone, we won Best Comic. So,
what?
Yeah,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Breakout is best comic. So
you didn't tell me. I didn't know even.
No, I didn't even tell you guys in the green room. So
yeah, you could have led with that, by the way, when we were back there. You could have just led with that. Instead
you were happy that we could go for more than 25 kilometers. I didn't want to steal your thunder, mate. So
mine is boring. You could have just gone, Steve, shut up. I got something to say, and
So yeah, so super proud. This was the inaugural year for the for the award as well. So to be the winner in the first time that they've had this category, I do want to give a shout out to everyone that's worked on the series. Ben Rosenthal, thank you very much for bringing my creation to life. Alex has done a great job on the artwork. Wilson has done an amazing job on the colours, and I also did thank you, Kieran, for collating the book together. So my wife, with unbeknownst to me, was filming me watching the video. So tomorrow I will post that up so everyone can have a bit of a laugh at my reaction. But I was very surprised and I'm very humbled. But I couldn't have done it without all those guys. So I really appreciate that, and I'm really excited that I was able to share that with you, Kieran, on tonight's episode as well. So,
yeah. Oh, dude, it's a massive effort, and you definitely deserve it. The amount of work that you've put into XCT and building this universe, it's proof in the pudding. It shows your hard work has finally paid off.
And
thank you. Yeah, I've been a little bit. I can't really find the words to explain how much this kind of means to me. I think a little bit of that validation is what we're always seeking, and in comics sometimes that's a little bit hard to kind of get that validation. You get that off friends and family, and but to have that from an external source with over 100 entries in that field. To get down to the bottom 3, I was super proud. But to actually win that, I'm just I'm super excited. So
absolutely well done. And once more, shout out to Aaron Summit. I think that's how you pronounce his surname. He was Morris in the middle. He was the 4th one, and he's another Australian. He's a really, really good guy. So he came 4th. So.
Yeah, he got the honourable mention. So congrats to you, Aaron. And that's what I was saying. Like there was some really stiff competition. I know Shane was also in it. Shane Walsh from Canberra. So another Australian. So it's all around the world, not just Australia. So to win that in its first year, I'm very, very excited to kind of see where hopefully this can go now, and hopefully that opens doors up for the other series that we have going as well. But enough about me. Let's talk.
Before Dark Knight, though, there's a lot of people in the chat, so we should say hello first, and then we'll jump to Dark Knight if you like.
Definitely. So we've got Moira. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, Moira.
Have Darren. G'day, mate. How you going? Brad. Hey, man. How you going? It's nice to see you. Sassy Gal, as always. Hey, how you going? Nathaniel, hey, man, how you going? Man B26.
Mandeep.
Oh, is that Mandeep? Oh, hey, man, how you going? So
thanks for... let's see. Did we...
We've got Darren. Hey, Darren, how you going? Ash Maddie. Hey, how you going, mates? We got Haiti Cake as well. Hey, how you going? And then there's just a lot of congratulations off everyone. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. So it's very, very excited. And Ash, if you're still watching, your cover, your incentive cover is going to be having an award sticker on it as well now. So that's very cool to have that as well. So
you have to buy the little stickers. I know you still have stock of that particular issue. You got to put the little stickers on, and the next batch that you send out to your comic shop, you just need to check the stickers. AFIN winner.
Winner. Best comic winner. So I'm just waiting. I was going to stick nominee anyway on it if if I didn't win, but
still counts.
To actually have the winner one is kind of cool.
But the next batch you shop at any comic store, it won't cost you too much to print. You need to print those stickers.
Yeah.
You have to print those stickers on.
And Troy's here as well. G'day, mate. How you going? So, yeah. So, man, I'm on a high at the moment. I don't know if I'm going to sleep sleep at night, so which is kind of cool. But so as we mentioned, tonight's episode we're going to talk about The Dark Knight, and I will let Kieran start it off, man. So I know this is one of your favorite movies. So what did you like about it?
What's not to like about it? I mean, look,
Runtime.
Batman Begins redefined the superhero genre for film. This took it to the next level, I believe. It wasn't just a superhero film. It was counted as a crime. It was counted as a crime drama. It was counted as a drama. There was horror elements to it. There was so much different themes that were built into this film. You've got escalation, chaos, anarchy, psychological elements to it. It was really the turning point for comic books to film. So, I mean, I've always been an avid fan of Batman, and I probably lost my way a little bit after a certain film in the 90s, and I kind of just left the platform altogether. And thanks to Batman Begins, it got me back into reading comics. There was a time there where I just didn't read comics, and I found music, and being a teenager, you know, there's certain things in life that change. And yeah, Nolan brought me back to comic books. So these films as a whole, they have a special place to my heart. But this film particularly, it just blew my mind. I actually got to see the first 10 minutes in IMAX when it was released with I Am Legend in 2007. And the first 10 minutes of the film is of the bank robbery. And to see the first 10 minutes of that and then walk out of it and going, I want to see more of it now. It just blew my mind. It just blew my mind. I was like, oh, this is going to be incredible. Little did I know that it was going to be as groundbreaking as it was. You know, apart from being the film that what it was, Heath Ledger's performance changed the way that people saw villains and the superhero idea, method acting, things like that. It was huge. It took the world by storm, and I don't think anyone really was prepared for it when it finally was released.
So the Academy Award, that one that Heath got, do you think that was deserved? It was the first acting Academy Award, and if I'm wrong, someone's in the chat's going to correct me. But from what I remember, it's the first acting Academy Award for any superhero film.
Yes, so it's the first first time they ever gave an award to a comic book film for recognizing it as a good film, as acting. Yep. I think the bittersweet part about that was, yes, it was about comic books, but unfortunately, because Heath had passed away at the time, we never really got that recognition for what he'd accomplished in that film. And I know that when he was first announced back in, I think it was 2006, the backlash that he got for it because of Brokeback Mountain, and they just didn't see it as Joker. All you had to do was go and look at Lords of Dogtown, which was a film that came out in 2007, and you could see, and the guy had talent. He had the range to do whatever was thrown at him. Ned Kelly, Two Hands. I mean, Two Hands is a phenomenal Australian film.
I'm a big fan of A Knight's Tale. I love that film.
Another great film.
It's got Alan Tudyk in it, and that's what I really loved with Heath Ledger in it. But the one thing that really sticks out for me in this movie also is how many quotes are used in this film. Like, I understand it's a long film, but there are so many quotes that get used a lot from this film, especially from the Joker's side and everything. But I know, Kieran, you said to me the extra part where Heath Ledger was in the bus, and that whole part where the button doesn't work, and he keeps acting and everything like that, and that was not in the script at all. It was actually the button didn't work, so he just kept on playing the character until it went, and then it blew, type of thing, which is just there's only I feel like a really select handful of people that can perform that well. in that type of situation where, you know, they're caught out, and rather than just go, oh, you've ruined the take, blah, 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 you know, they're able to continue going and then have it left in the film, like, as part of a film as well. But, you know, the quotes that, you know, to watch the world burn. The one other thing I really loved about this was not explaining the Joker's backstory. Like, you know, I love the fact that he told a different story each time. You know, was talking about his scars and everything like that. I'm like, I don't know any other film where the main villain hasn't been given some sort of, you know, backstory of why he is the way he is.
Yeah.
And just to say, well, just, you know, he is the way he is because he just wants to watch the world burn is reason enough. Like, is really powerful stuff, especially with all the stuff I feel that's going on in the world sometimes, that, you know, there's a lot of lessons we can take away from this this film as well.
Absolutely, and it does touch upon that. I think that's the great thing about David Goyer, Jonathan Nolan, and Christopher Nolan writing as three people who have different takes on the medium of art. They've all come together and have been able to build it. Now, I know they took elements from Joker's first appearance in 1941. They took The Long Halloween, The Killing Joke. So there were elements there from the comic books that they used, but they kind of had this way of introducing the character into certain scenes without, you know, oversaturating the character, which villains can be in certain films. A great example of that is Jack Nicholson's Joker. As much as that was a great performance back in the '89 version of Batman, he was very saturated. It was his film. Now, if you look at The Dark Knight, it's not exactly a Joker-eccentric film. It's about, we see a Batman that's fully formed. We also see a young district attorney, Harvey Dent, coming through the ranks, and Jim Gordon. And these three elements, they're basically battling for the soul of Gotham, like Joker states throughout the film. And they kind of introduce the Joker as a force, and he just keeps pushing at these characters, whether it be Batman, Harvey Dent, Commissioner Gordon. And I thought that was great. He wasn't the tropes of a comic book film. It wasn't, there's two bad guys and then literally they team up and that's, you know, the take on Batman. It wasn't that. And that's what fascinated me. It was that, yeah, you had a battle at the end with Joker, but that wasn't the point. Like, you know, and Joker explains that in the end. Like, even that it's explained to him that it's not how these movies should be. And I think, you know, we live in a world now where we've got so many superhero films coming out, partake this year, that we're oversaturated by the tropes of a comic book film and what it can be, and it's building to a certain thing. But the great thing about this film, it was its own self-contained film. There was a beginning and a middle and an end, and it wasn't a happy ending. That's another thing I enjoy about this film. Films, you know, they leave you feeling good at the end sometimes, but this one it doesn't sit right at the end. You're left with Joker winning, for starters. He wins the battle, basically. His plan was to bring one of the three down, and he did that with Harvey Dent. He dragged Harvey down to his level, and ultimately it cost Harvey his life. Now, the saying that Dent says in the film, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And they basically set that up in the first act and then executed it into the third act. And I thought that was brilliant. Like, the kind of writing they did for this film, it kind of actually inspired me to want to start writing. And I did start writing then, and it wasn't great. But it got me off the ground and running, basically. So, you know, kudos to those guys. They put so much effort into it. And I think the sad part about this film is, yes, we lost Heath Ledger, but I think the credit to the film itself is lost in the romance with Heath Ledger's performance.
Yeah.
I would challenge what you just said at right at the end. It's actually a much sadder ending than you think about it. If you think about it, it wasn't that he compromised Harvey Dent. He compromised all three of them. Because Jim Gordon was meant to stick with the law. Batman always, you know, do what's right. They both got compromised in the end. They both decided to hide Harvey's legacy, which would have released all the prisoners, you know, because if your district attorney is compromised, all the cases he prosecuted becomes compromised. And they chose to hide that for the greater good, if you will. So Joker 1, he compromised all three of them. So it wasn't just Harvey who basically got turned. Every single one of them. Gordon turned a blind eye, which was basically raised up in the next movie. And Batman, he couldn't live with that. He's going, you know what? I can't deal with this anymore. I'm out, skis. And so, it's actually a lot sadder than just one of the three being compromised. All three of them basically got what they want, but they had to make the deal with the devil to get what they want. And
it's very funny you say that, because it's a tragic story. It's a tragic tale of a hero. And I mean, you look at it now, and a great way of looking at it really is that from a film aspect, it's kind of like the Revenge of the Sith and how we see Anakin's betrayal of the Jedi and the downfall to the dark side. And I always hold them side by side, and I feel like they really achieved something that they failed with in Star Wars, was that they had the hero's legacy and they executed it really well. Whereas with the Star Wars films, I felt they could have really delved into Anakin's descent even more than what they did. So I always hold...
What's the last season of the Clone Wars?
Well, even that as well. I mean, that too. They did that. I guess they did
makes his fall much more meaningful.
Exactly.
Which is great. And I've watched the last episode of The Mandalorian, and to have the crossover with a couple of the characters from that in that series now is really cool. But there's not too many superhero movies that I can say that have kind of pulled off the excellence that the Dark Knight has had. Like, I do like Avengers Infinity War, because I'm like, there's so many stories, the way they intertwines them was really impressive. But again, that needed to be done over two films. The way that they were able to write the Dark Knight, especially in a trilogy of Batman films, but as you could just pick that up and watch that as a film by itself. And as you said, it will just hold its own as a standalone film. It didn't need a prior one or an after one, especially if you know the mythos of Batman. So.
Yeah, and I think that's what Nolan's approach was to each time. He said, I'm not going in to write a trilogy of films, whether it be the studio wants me to or not. I treat each story as its own arc, and you'll get a beginning and a middle and end. And that's what I always loved about them, is they're their own self-contained stories that fell into a small little story of Gotham. It wasn't relying on the likes of superheroes or Superman, Wonder Woman, whether it be the Justice League. It was Batman's world, and that's what I loved about it. And I think 3 films for it was perfect. I didn't need any more after that. But this film in a whole, it just changed the way I saw writing, film, comic books, everything in that sense. And it's just a good film.
I really enjoyed it, but I think the one mistake, say, the DCU made is this was a really good Batman film, and 100%. Unfortunately, if you carried this style across to the Justice League, it wasn't the right play. I still think it wasn't the right play to get this style of movie across there, mainly because the characters in, say, the Justice League, the Supermans, the Wonder Womans, they're much more hopeful. And in this one, like I said, in the end, Batman was compromised. He was not a good person in the end, because he decided, you know what, greater good, I'm going to let Harvey's legacy stand, although it's the wrong thing to do. In the end of the day, but say the Wonder Womans of the world, which is slightly different, I think that was done really well. Superman's, I think, was a bit too dark, and Justice League was that whole mishmash when you swap 2 directors over. So, that's a totally different story. But for Batman, this was the absolute perfect tone, and I really liked the tone that was carried to the next movie as well. And it was an origin story, and so I think that's where I think it was actually written by the Nolan brothers. Could go, I'm going to tell the story, and guess what? I don't need to reference Bruce being an orphan anymore.
No,
I think that was fantastic.
No. It was a fully fledged Batman, and that was a great thing. And we didn't dote on that. We doted on what it would take for a hero to break his rules. And they really had those themes, and they pushed into those themes throughout the film. And that's what I enjoyed about it, was that, like, you know, even Alfred was questioning Batman's morality. It's like, what are you doing? How far are you going to go to stop this man from killing more people? You know, even it was a battle. It was a battle for Gotham's soul, and it was also, you know, you had the citizens of Gotham playing part in the actual story, whether it be on the boats, whether it be one of the Wayne Enterprises accountants, and how he was going to reveal. Like, Joker was playing not just Batman, Gordon, and Dent, but he was playing the whole city.
Oh,
and
definitely.
That played a whole other card into the choices we make as human beings and as individuals, and whether we can overcome bad choices and do the right thing.
This type of storytelling has always been something that I've really enjoyed, and I've talked about it a lot within XCT, is that it's all depending on your point of view. You know, we always say, you know, someone's good or someone's bad, but it depends on, you know, who's looking at it. You know, we say that, you know, Harvey Dent was good and we're keeping his legacy, but, you know, he did turn bad. So what is the right thing to do? Is it for the greater good? Is it to let it stand? And from Batman's point of view, he was saying yes it is. But then from the Joker's point of view, it's like, I've just proved to you exactly what I said you would do. If I put you in this position, you would actually do that, and you have. So you've just proved me right that you're you know, would do the wrong thing for the right reasons. And I love that type of storytelling, because it does come to the heart of, you know, human nature. You know, I don't think any of us are inherently evil or bad people, but it's our you know, life experiences, it's our view of the world, it's our beliefs that, you know, shape what decisions we do and make. And that type of really good storytelling you don't see in a kind of a superhero film. So that's another thing I really liked about this one.
Okay. No, definitely. And the one thing I have to talk about is the action set pieces. Oh my God. They were the most, like, the one that I really enjoyed was the actual Joker fight was over in about 2 minutes, because Batman is way more, you know, he's way more trained than Joker. Basically, he strung him up and beat the crap out of him. 2 minutes, done. But what was really, really cool, my favorite set piece, was the one where they set it up so Batman had to basically save all the hostages from getting killed, because, you know, the Joker had basically played them. He dressed the hostages as the you know, the kidnappers, and the kidnappers are really the hostages, and the cops didn't know. And that set piece was incredible, because he's trying to stop all sides all at the same time. And just the cuts that happen between it and all the rest. I don't know if you can. I think you watched. Did you watch it again before the show? Or
yeah, I watched it last night.
Oh, fantastic! How good is that?
For about the 400th time, I reckon.
But how awesome is that set piece? You know, it's and the cool. And I watched that part again. I didn't watch the whole movie. I just watched the part I liked. But for him to switch from the, you know, he had the bat sonar sense into the dark light, into flashlight sequences, and that whole movement of sequences. Oh man, that was amazing.
Yeah. It's kind of funny you say that, because I don't see this film as so much of action rather than the actual story of characters. I feel as though this really does drive on the characters in talking, like the interrogation scene. I think, for me personally, it stands out as one of the best scenes in the film. Don't get me wrong, the flipping of the truck is phenomenal, and I really wish I hadn't seen that on, you know, the tabloids before the movie came out, because I think that kind of ruined it for me. And then remember, this is 2007. Can you imagine living today and getting all this kind of stuff fed to you? You know the whole movie before it came out. But I think that's the great thing about this film, is that it doesn't rely on the action to try and carry its story. It is a character-central story arc that revolves around these people and what's going on between them. And again, it comes back to good writing. If you can write two characters that can bounce off each other really well, you've got something that'll work. If you can write four characters, it's even better. And with this, you know, Sorry, Sean.
I was going to say, Mandeep made a really good point as well, saying that they give Joker's perspective or ideals just as much importance as Batman's. Which, as you were just saying, like if that's really good writing, being able to make you see it from his point of view as well as from Batman's point of view. So even myself watching the film, I'm conflicted going, well, what would I do if I'm in that situation? Am I the guy that turns around and goes, man, hit the button, blow those people up?
Yeah.
Or am I the person that goes, no, sit that down, we'll save the other guys. Like it's very, very clever. I really enjoyed it. I watched it on Thursday night with my dad. So I always enjoy having these shows, so it gives me excuse to jump in the cinema room and watch a movie or two. So
yeah, no, it's definitely worth a sit down and watching. Stephen, I don't know how you did watch that one scene though. I wouldn't be able to help myself. I'd have to go and watch it from the beginning.
Oh no, it was a crazy week for me, but But the thing is, I know it's a character-driven show, but the set pieces are just done so well. The initial part where Joker steals the money from the bank robbers, and even that it was almost like a thriller scene because you don't know who's who, and they're all betraying one another. It's like, okay, I was set to kill you. Now we go. Wait, I was meant to kill you. Now, just even that whole playoff of each other, I think was fantastic. And you don't know who in the end is the right person. Who, look.
I think we can all just agree that we all enjoyed the film.
Yeah. Oh, look, I enjoyed it the first 14 times I saw it in the IMAX. So. I mean, it's a phenomenal film, and they put a lot of effort into it. Like, I think it's one of the first films they used IMAX cameras for to film a Hollywood cinema film. And we only got certain bits. And I know now they're filming all films, or a lot of films they're filming all in IMAX. Yeah. But it was the first film to take that leap and film the bank robbery, the chasing cars scene. There was multiple. I think it was about 5 or 6 scenes that were filmed in IMAX. Yeah. And to take that risk and do it, it's proof in the pudding. You go back and watch it.
Well, that's cool. I want to use that as a segue into our next announcement and firsts. So I announced at the start of the show that we won the Best Comic Award, which is amazing. But this week has been another big week for me as well because we have just signed on our first graphic novel team. We're going to publish them next year. It's a really cool mythology-based comic, which is right up my alley and my audience's alley. So we're going to do a big release before Christmas. We're going to have the creator come on. We'll announce what the title is, but we've got a launch for that in 2021, as well as we'll be opening up our publishing wing to other creators for finished work. So very excited to talk about that as well. So that's another first. So super excited about that. But let's get into you, Kieran. At the moment, you have a Kickstarter going for another book or issue in your series.
I'm sharing the link into the YouTube chat. That's the only thing I have access to. So anybody on the YouTube chat, the link will be coming on in about 10 seconds, as fast as I can type.
No problem. I'll add it to all the other ones. Now, you all right if we play the video on this one?
Yeah, it's fine. Go for it.
Okay, let's go. Actually, I'm gonna unshare that because I probably didn't tick the little box with the share audio that I always seem to forget to do. So
we're really professional here.
Hi there. I'm Kieran, creator of the comic book series, and thanks for checking out the Kickstarter campaign for In Purgatory, Sins of the Father. For those new to the series, In Purgatory is a tale of life after death, told through the eyes of the Grim Reaper. Each issue follows the twisted tales and the challenges of our protagonists must face in order to restore order and glory to the Underrealm. So, what's in store for this latest issue? Well, Death now confronting his past life to deal with the oncoming storm, while Mischief Maker questions her own recent affliction with the Underrealm's new leader and trying to make amends with the Riders, but can all be forgiven. Meanwhile, our remaining Riders try to band together a resistance against Damien and his demon army. Find out this and more in Issue 6. Like all campaigns, we try to bring new and exciting merchandise for you all to pledge towards, and this campaign is no exception. You can grab a back catalogue of comics if you're new, or a single issue if you're returning. There's enamel pins, stickers, digital comics, prints, concept artwork, sketch covers, page art, and featured cameo in this issue if you ever wanted to be in a comic. And if we reach our target goal, we have some amazing things in store for stretch goals, including a new featured short story, art posters, badge packs, and much more. With each issue, I always try to collaborate with creators who have supported our work, and likewise. And in this issue, we have an amazing artist joining in, Camillo Di Pietranito, with myself writing and illustrating the main story. Again, these comics and campaigns can't be fulfilled without your support. So once again, thank you for checking out this campaign, and we hope you'll join us for our next issue of Purgatory. Thank you.
It's my favourite part. Always have. It's so weird. I know it's coming each time, but I seriously need to wait for that to finish before I stop. I don't know why, but it's like just one of those logos or I don't know if people remember. Sound really old here, but Family Ties with Michael J. Fox, and after that, you used to have the dog, and it was like sit boo boo sit, good dog,
good dog.
Now I can go outside and play. I always had to wait for that thing. So,
well, it makes it worth it knowing that, Sean. Thank you, because I spent a lot of time getting that made.
Nice. So it's fantastic. So this is issue 6. Is it how many issues is this going to be?
So it's going to be 12 issues. This is planned for 12. This is the midway mark. We've hit the 6th issue. So this is kind of the end of the first story arc. And so the next 6 will be the second story arc of the series. That said, I'm having a little break after this one. So we've got some other projects in the work, which we'll talk about later. But it's been 2 years of kind of world building with this story. So it's been an absolute blast to be able to work on this and create these characters in this world and do them on Kickstarter. I mean, this is really the first time I've done a full series on Kickstarter. I mean, Talking Bread was, I think I did three issues on Kickstarter out of a 6-part series. So doing all of them on Kickstarter has been a big effort. And also working and creating with other creators as well has been a phenomenal chance to be able to do that.
Yeah, what made you have that guest artist in each issue? I love the idea, but it's something that I'd never thought of myself. What kind of made you think about doing that?
Well, originally with this story, there's so many characters involved with it that I wanted to start it off from a certain point, but also go back and tell these characters' stories. I felt they were interesting enough to people would want to read them without having to do a story arc on each one, and try and structure the story to be able to introduce them in a different way. And I'd seen a few other bigger comic book creators use other illustrators to do some stories for them in between issues, and I was like, well, why don't I get them to try and do 2 or 3 pages? It's great for me to be able to get that experience with working with other creators, and also it's good for them to be able to, if they're getting fresh start and they're looking to do something in comic book world, it's good for them to get a start in. So it's been a real treat to be able to do this. I don't think I've had a bad experience doing this yet, and working with these people. And they get to play with my toys. I think that's the best part of it. Like recently with Camillo, he's had so much fun working on these pages. He'll shoot them to me, and he's like, "Dude, this is where I've gone with these 2 pages. I've changed up the sequential storyline of what you're doing, but the dialogue still fits." And so I'll go and look at it, and I'm like, "That's perfect, man. Like that's what I want you to do." I kind of let him have fun and the freedom to kind of create, and the feedback that's between both of us has been great, and everyone that's taken part in doing this from the get-go has been really fun.
Look, Camilo is an acquaintance, so like I won't say I'm not his. We're not close or anything. Like I think we're Facebook friends. Can you give him a bit of a shout out? Like, what has he done? Like, where else can we see more of Camilo's stuff?
Yeah, Camilo is on a roll at the moment. He has been doing comic book gig for around, I think, 5 or 6 years now. Yep. And he's had previous works on the Phantom comic. He's done a couple of covers for them.
Oh, awesome.
And then more recently, he has been doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics. So he's been doing the variant covers for the 100th issue this year. Yep. And then more recently, the recent Last Ronin story arc for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's been doing covers for different comic book stores around the world. Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yes. And during the pandemic, he wrote a little comic book story and he illustrated it. And he actually showed it to me, and it's called Pandemic. And it's based in Italy, where he's from, and it just tells the story of how they've handled the virus, and it was great being able to see it. And that's before he'd started working on my pages, so it was even better for me to be able to see him work. Doing sequential art, because he'd never really tapped into doing it before until I'd made the offer for him to come on board and do it. So that was a really cool experience for me to be able to see him kind of just be free and do what he wanted to do with these story arcs. And he's done that. Yep. Sorry, you're going to say something?
Oh, no. So your work is his first sequential work, because you mentioned that he's done a lot of really cool covers, pinups, but your one is his first time storytelling.
Yes, this is his first time doing sequentially. Yeah, so I kind of feel chuffed that I've got him on the peak of his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff. He's been like back and forth me going, "Sorry, I haven't got the pages done quick." I'm like, "Dude, you're fine. It's fine. You've had your plate full for the last couple of weeks." So to see him do this now, it's really something special. And we have talked about doing some more projects in the future together, depending on his workload. But I'm looking forward to working with him again, because it's been an absolute treat to have him on board for this story arc. And the pages that he's done, I've only shown 2 of them on the actual Kickstarter, but there's 2 more that he's contributed to, and they're just blowing me out of the water. How well they've been articulated into the story arc of In Purgatory.
There's a YouTube comment which I want to bring up, Sassy Gal's one. This will make you really happy. Can you see Sassy Gal's last YouTube comment?
No, I can't.
No, I'm asking. There you go. This is the one I wanted to show.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, the notification just came through then. Oh, appreciate it. Thanks very much. That's awesome. I hope you enjoy the series.
And Ash fixed up his comment because he said Camille rather than Camilo. Goddamn autocorrect. So this is your 3rd or 4th Kickstarter this year? What's that?
Well, I guess if you count, this is the 5th one really, if you count Super Battle Armor too. So,
4th
4th row in Purgatory, yeah.
And then you also did the one for Super Battle. So 5 in a year. How have you found that? And I know we talked about serialization on Kickstarter, but how have you found doing that many in 1 year?
Having no cons, it's been great. I've thoroughly enjoyed working on it. I am obviously doing 4 of them like off 3 months each one. It is a big challenge. If I was doing conventions whilst I was doing those, I'd be a lot more exhausted.
Yeah.
With this one, I will say, don't ever launch your campaign on a election day.
Yeah, no. I've had a couple of people in different Kickstarter groups and everything, and especially, I guess, this year, because it was so volatile, the election. Like, I know even myself, we had it on on the TV here all day for no result type of thing. And I would, I'm not a very political person, I would say, but I've even it interests me. So a lot of people have said that it's not the best time, and I think we launched on Halloween, and I was a little bit worried about how that was going to go, considering it wasn't a horror comic. I thought if it was a horror comic, it would go really well. But but Talos of Sparta went pretty good, which was lucky. So yeah.
Look, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that we launched it on that day. It got funded within 72 hours, it's been our slowest for the year.
Yep.
But it's still a good result. I'm not going to complain about that. And I mean, I would better know for next time that not to launch it on an electoral campaign, and whether it be Australia or the United States. Just
you mentioned one of the things that Sean put up and we wanted to talk about a little bit is building your audience. And so, and this is a great question for you because you've launched multiple going through. How have you retained, what have you done to basically energize your audience to go, hey, guess what? Number 5's coming out, number 6 coming out, and you're having a break now, number 7's coming out. What do you think what's your strategy to make sure your audience are kept energized and grow, basically?
Yeah. So with In Purgatory, this time around, I found that it's a lot of return readers, whether it be from issue 1 to issue 6 now. And on average, I get to between 80 to 90 people back in the campaign, which I think it's a modest amount. And those people have continuously kept coming back. And I think it's part of the reason for that is that they're guaranteed they're going to get their comic, whether the campaign runs before they receive the next one. There's that loyalty there. They know they're going to get their reward. So from Kickstarter's aspect, I've kind of built that audience there that I've been working on for the past 2 years within Purgatory, which didn't really translate from the Talking Bread. It never translated across. It's a completely different audience. So it hasn't been easy. It's been a tough road to build up this audience to get it to where it is now. But those people that have come on from In Purgatory have actually gone back and started getting my old stuff. Okay. Which has been really rewarding in itself because it kind of is creating that, I hate saying it, but it's creating that fan base where people will read.
That's not a bad thing to say. That's a good thing.
I like readers. I like the term readers. People use fan base. I prefer readers. My readers like to go back and they're getting the stuff that I've done previously. So it's not really falling on the stories I'm telling. It's more about the creator that's behind it, which I think now I'm really using that with the new projects I've been working on, and hopefully I'll be able to springboard them from In Purgatory to the next one, and then hopefully they'll jump back in when year's time when we go back to In Purgatory.
I look, and I'll use I think he does the absolute best one, Ryan Lindsay, and I like to, he for people who don't know, he's an ACT writer. I would say I've read his stuff. It is really good, and I always say his stuff is fantastic. But more than that is his newsletters. If you if you have subscribed to them, the way he engages in his newsletters, man, that energizes your audience. That's like you read it, you're going, oh man, what's he up to next? What's the next bit? And I don't know. Look, if you haven't subscribed to Ryan Lindsay's, I say, look, please subscribe to his because I think he'll give you a lot of good hints, especially if you're trying. Because what Ryan does, as you know. He seems to jump a lot of different genres, a lot of different projects. Like he did one thriller, space one, some Dear Editor, which was, look, I don't even know how to describe that, what genre that one is properly. But he jumps a lot. And a lot of his readers, I think, still come with him because he can sell any story in any genre. So if you haven't seen his newsletters, man, it's something that you probably can emulate a little bit because I'm trying to, and I'm nowhere close to the way he writes his newsletters.
Yeah, I think what you said before with feedback and in kind of interacting with your audience, it doesn't need to be necessarily just your newsletters. I send out newsletters on what's coming up, what's going out, and that's really cool. I can now get all my stats from that, and people are interacting with it. But I think it's for me, Instagram and Facebook.
have become the place where you really need to be switched on. And as soon as someone hits you up and asks something or wants to know where they can get them, you've got to be straight off the bat and hit them up and let them go, oh, you can go here to check out the web store, or you can go here to check out the Kickstarter. Now, I know with YouTube, and you guys using YouTube more this year, and recently we did a live stream with our launch, that was a great way of kind of interacting with the audience whilst we're talking. And you guys do it here every week with what you do, and I think that is a great way of building an audience too, and kind of getting them to interact with the guests that come on, and showing them that there's other stuff out there to read and enjoy. I think it's just a matter of... Sorry, you go.
No, I was going to say, I think, and we've mentioned this before, Stephen has never enjoyed being in front of the camera, but we even ourselves, like I use the conventions, and even yourself, Kieran, you would probably agree with this. We use the conventions a lot to kind of build our audience and let people know like what we're doing and everything. And because we did so many conventions, sometimes that interaction on those social media side, from me, I'll be perfectly honest, they kind of fell to the wayside because I'm tired, I'm busy, I'm doing the conventions, and then I'm trying to run a Kickstarter, so on and so forth. So to have this year and really spend some time, I've been doing my newsletters a little bit more regularly. We've created this channel. We've got a really good core of 10 to 20 people that come on every single week to kind of watch the show and see what creators we have on. There's something to say. I know you say you don't like to use the word fan, but I call them super fans, because if they are supporting all your works and then other creators' works and everything like that, they're just not fans. They're super fans. They are really engaged with the creations and that type of stuff. So
it's a multitude of things. I don't know if you've realised this year, Sean, with your people that you would see at Supernova and all the other conventions, but there's been a transition of people that have come on to the Kickstarter, and if you've been using the web store, I found that would usually come past the booth at a convention and pick up, they're regulars, I guess you'd call them. And I've seen that translation from sales this year from the conventions to those kind of things, which has been a really great tool to be able to utilize. Now, I think that comes back to the newsletter. So my newsletter is probably not as regular as what Ryan's would be, but it's still a great tool to be able to let people know what's coming up, whether you've got sales on, your next projects, what you're working on, teasing them, getting them excited. I know it's very straining to be able to juggle all those plates at once, but I mean, it does help getting your campaigns funded and getting those sales, smashing out stock and all that at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I was going to say, these are some, like, for people out there that are looking at building their audience, there are some really good free tools. So, MailChimp is the mail provider I use. I think it's up to about 1,500 emails or something that you can get before you have to start paying. So that's a really good service that you can use. Then you've got all your social media accounts that usually are free unless you're buying ads. Then you've got StreamYard, which is what we use to go live here onto YouTube. And then, if you go to a purchased account with StreamYard, you then can go into multiple places. So after doing a few of these episodes, we've now got a paid account where we can go to Facebook, and we can go to YouTube. And as you mentioned before, going live at the start of a Kickstarter, I feel really builds up that momentum. And it does. I feel you can sell the story a little bit more as well.
Absolutely,
I have noticed that not as many people are watching the videos. The videos on Kickstarter used to get 400 or 500 views, even if it was only for 20 seconds or whatever, and you'd have 100 or 200 backers, in between there. But now I'm getting 150 to 200 backers, but I'm only having 100 people look at the video. So it is quite interesting how things are starting to change in needing to find different ways to kind of communicate and keep connected with those people. And, these type of live videos, I feel, are a really good way to kind of do that.
Yeah, it's all important. It's all important. Every platform has its purpose.
So let's just jump quickly back onto your Kickstarter, because you don't have much time left, and that was my fault. Unfortunately, had one of my dogs put down last week, so I was not in the best headspace. So we had cancelled last week's show and delayed it to this week. But you got 55 hours to go. You've already hit your goal, but you did say you've got some really cool stretch goals in order. So what's the next goal to help you get to that next?
So thanks to Sassy Girl 1, we've actually unlocked the Matt Combs exclusive pinup.
Oh, we've already done it. Oh, wow.
So that's the first stretch goal. So every physical reward will receive a printed A4 pinup from Matt Combs. He did so that's the 150.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's the first one, and then the 2,000 goal is a 4-pack of buttons. So pins, badge packs. People call it different things depending on where you're from. So
I found that.
Pins, buttons, badges. That's our next one, which I think we've got 2 days left. So I actually think we'll do it. We do tend to have a lot of people come through at the last minute. And back the campaign, which is always nerve-wracking. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to do that within the next 2 days.
Awesome. So we've chucked the links in the comments, but also on our YouTube page, we've got the link in the description. So for people that are watching this later, definitely have a look in the description. You can click on the link and it'll take you straight to Kieran's Kickstarter. Now, you have something else that you want to talk about. What have you got in the works, or what can you tell us about this new project?
Yeah, so it probably would have been at the start of the year. I actually pitched an idea to a friend of mine who's been a very big influence in getting my comic book started. And he's been here on the show before, Ruben Romero. He's been on before, I believe. So I pitched an idea to him. He's a big horror movie buff like myself, and I pitched an idea to him because the I guess you call the Monster Mash have been so badly interpreted in the past few years. I felt they needed a proper reboot, I guess you'd call it. So I pitched an idea to him to talk about doing a comic book that would revolve around the likes of Dracula, Frankenstein, the Invisible Man, the Creature from the Black Lagoon. These kind of characters are all free for domain, so I wanted to try and do something different. So we've come up with an idea. So it's going to be called Maniac High, and it's going to be released in late 2021 now. But we're collaborating. We're going to be both writing on it. I'll be doing illustrating. We're going to look at colouring it, and we'll take it to Kickstarter. It's going to be a pretty big project, but we're all pretty excited to get on and get started with it. And this will be my first time probably collaborating as a writer and collaborating with the project itself. So it's going to be based around Van Helsing at a young age, and coming to terms with all these kind of mythological characters and beings, and supernatural elements, but it'll also be very horror based as well. So we hope we can get scare a few people in the process.
And this is the teaser poster for the new series. So Maniac High. I love that. I said to you as soon as you had sent this through to me, I was like, oh man, this reminds me of a teaser poster and everything. I think it was Spawn had one like this very, very early on. The Matrix, although they had the numbers behind it and everything like that. I love this idea, and being a movie collector myself, I soon as I saw that, I was like, that's really cool. So, do you know or have an idea of release date for this, or?
At this stage, I'd say we're probably looking around the third quarter of 2021, just because I've got my other project, The Apparition, also in the works, and we are in the process of colouring The Talking Bread at the moment for the trade paperback. So it's all happening now that In Purgatory is starting to wrap up for the first part. So I'd say probably third quarter of 2021 we'll be looking at releasing the first issue.
Awesome. Well, we've got some really good friends of the show, and Lucas.
Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you, Lucas.
Project, so
appreciate it.
It's very cool. So, thank you very much to Mark. He said sorry about my dog, so thank you very much, mate. And Moira said it sounds great. So. Sounds like we're both going to have a very big year next year. So, Stephen and myself, we've got Terra Olympus Volume 3 going to come out next year. I've got a XCT anthology that is almost completed, so that's going to come out next year. I've got this new project from our first signed writer, so I'm very excited about that one, but I won't announce that tonight. And then also we have a brand new Kickstarter that is going to go live on the 19th of December. It's written by Stephen. It comes from Dan Furigal, the actor from Spartacus. He's wild, perverted mind. It's the cyberpunk dystopian detective series, and that's going to go live on the 19th. And as we talked about building an audience, we're going to do a live launch. So we would love everyone to come along to that as well. And if you see us posting up about it, please click notify on when we go to launch. But guys, is there anything else that you want to talk about before we say goodbye to everyone?
No. Covered it all. It's been a great episode.
Yeah. Thanks for hosting, like always.
No problem. I'm a little bit more awake tonight. I think I'm still jumping, but thanks again, Kieran. One for coming on, two for being our first guest as well when we've been doing this format, and three, all your help that you give me with the XCT series. I really do appreciate everything you do, and same to you, Stephen. I wouldn't be in the position I am today if it wasn't for you two guys. So I really do appreciate your work, and I appreciate everyone out there that backs each Kickstarter, that supports us creators, and the new friends we've made this year doing this show. So we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Again, remember, if you haven't subscribed, please click subscribe and click that notify button. Have a good night, guys.
See ya.
Peace.